But once we crossed to the side, I really thought that we had wasted about 10, 12 years on the corporate side. We took a bold decision. We went for SAP. It's a huge investment for us. Prior to COVID, we were not a profitable company at all. We were burning money. The priorities were different. To be frank, we were looking at top line. We were not looking at bottom line. Since the price point is lower, the transactions are more. So the room for error is very less. If the transaction value is about 300, 400, the number of transactions would be less. And it's easier for you to control, right? But since here the value is low, there are more transactions and there is opportunity for a leak is more. Instead of 100 ml, if you give 105 ml every cup, you're gone.
You're losing 5% in every cup.
5% everywhere. So that Dhoni said, no, I order online. The minute I wake up, I order and then I go to the restroom and I freshen up and come. My tea is ready and it is always consistent.
Welcome to Beat the Odds, an unfiltered conversation with brand leaders across. Here we bring in the raw, unfiltered conversations where we'll talk about how they build the brand, the failures, the challenges, and more. So today's guest is someone who left a 15-year career in IT and he started a chai shop. And today they have 60 stores across the city. They raised funds. They raised their Series A from a brand that's 90 years old, and we'll hear more about that. And so with that, welcome to Beat the Odds, Sadique.
Thank you, Vikas. Thank you for having me here.
We look forward to unpeeling the stories of how you started. I think take us back to leaving the job, right? And a lot of people that even I talk to, some of my friends who are still working, that decision to quit that job and say, I want to do something on my own, it's always there in the back of the mind for many, many people. But not everyone takes that jump. So what made you take that jump? What made you take that plunge?
On the contrary, I never had that thought.
Okay.
I did engineering, like everybody did engineering in Chennai back then. And I joined IT. I worked there for about 12, 13 years. And I was very content with life, meaning that I had regular promotions, regular salary hikes, offsites and all of that. I was very
large
content.
Companies, Semantic and Broadcom.
I was very content with what is happening. And I had a career path charted for myself where I should be in next 5 years, 10 years and all of that. That's when Balaji has been working with me for since 2002.
Right.
So by 2010, he started talking to me about quitting and starting something, and I was never okay with that idea because I thought, I mean, it's like you said, Semantic,
there's so much
Sutherland,
comfort.
they're all very good companies as well.
Good employers.
They pay on the dot on 30th. I always tell them, if 30th is a holiday, they pay on 29th. If 29th is a holiday, they pay on 28th.
Right.
So they're very make sure that it is always
Principled.
done on time, very employee friendly and all of that. So I was very happy. But then Balaji's had a different thought. He grew up with friends who's from business background. Fathers were from business background. So he seen the other side of life. For me, I had no exposure to business families and background. So I was content with this. So post about a year and a half, we continuously discussed about what we should do and all of that. Then I finally took the plunge. Even then, I always had at the back of my mind that if things didn't work out, I'll always go back to work.
You always had a parachute in mind.
Yeah, I knew that I can always come back here. I was not very convinced about this because I didn't know anything about this. But once we crossed to the side, I really thought that we had wasted about 10, 12 years on the corporate side.
Yeah, no, that's nicely put, I think. But it's also learning to see how do you build large companies and teams.
Exactly,
and, It's a very different learning. And one of the first ideas I believe you had also was on the contrary to coffee, right? Not tea. How did that pivot from coffee to tea, and what was the insight there?
Okay, like I said, once we quit, we wanted to do something, but we didn't have any idea about what we wanted to do. Balaji was like, he'll say okay to anything that we come across. So we thought we'll do franchise business for about few years, understand the business, how it works and all of that. So we took multiple franchises.
Yeah.
One of that was a salon chain, and then we also took a Subway restaurant, and from there on we did multiple things. So after about 3-4 years, once we got to understand how business work and all of that, we wanted to create a brand for ourselves. So we only have seen the salon chain, the Subway restaurant, also a pizza. So we thought food is the right thing to do. We went ahead and started working on a similar concept to Subway, which is kebabs and short eats kind of a thing. We named it Dubai. We made it non-veg
Right.
and all of that. But very soon we figured out that we cannot scale that. We wanted to scale. I don't know why we had that idea, but we wanted to have a brand that can scale up 100, 200, 500 out. We never had a number in mind, but we also always wanted to have something which can be scalable across. We didn't even think that we want to have across India and all of that, but
Yeah.
we always thought we should have a large, because the salon chains that we managed, all of them had about 400, 500 salons. So somewhere it got
The
stuck
scale.
in our hand that we have to have scale. So we figured out cafe is the right thing to do. And I am a big fan of Madras Coffee House. Wherever I see Madras Coffee House, I'll stop and have their
Right.
coffee.
Yeah.
I introduced Balaji to Madras Coffee House. We do that often. So then we thought, okay, there is always meaning. It's a great brand, but we always thought that there's something lacking there, which again, Coffee Day is on the other spectrum, right? So other end of the spectrum. So we thought we'll do something in between. Um, that is when we thought we'll start off with coffee. We formed a small team. We had a couple of friends who were working on the menu, the coffee trials, and all of that. And we usually break out for uh, people who would smoke, and then people would have their tea and coffee would have. So we did that for a couple of days, and then someone said, "We're all working on coffee, and why is everybody going out and having tea?"
Right.
Right? Then we thought, okay, yes, everybody is having tea, right? So in our household, it's like we'll have one coffee in the morning. That's not a filter coffee. That's a instant brew or a sunrise
Right.
kind of a coffee. And then throughout the day is about tea, right? You can have any number of tea. I think there is no count to that. Plus, you're working in IT and in night shifts, the number of tea that goes in doesn't matter at all, right? So that's how we thought, okay, there is a bigger market could be a bigger market for chai. And then we started figuring out what is happening across. We started traveling. During those franchise business days, we had a lot of time with us. We used to travel everywhere, across India, across the world. So we went to few destinations, like we went to Mumbai. We saw a company called Chai Tela. We went to Delhi, there was a company called Chayus. Bangalore had Chai Point, and Philly was in Dubai. All of them were the main product is tea, but then all their business model, their price point, the way they prepare, the way they store, all of that is completely different. Once we got to understand it is not a simple tea business, so we thought we had the confidence that we can come back and do that. So once we came back to Chennai, we figured out what will work here, right? Meaning we cannot cut copy paste what
Yeah.
Chai Point or Chai House is doing in Delhi, because they're all there's a different
Different
city
markets,
altogether,
yeah.
different city, different taste palettes and all of that.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make it work in Chennai, so we had to customize it. So we almost worked for a year, figured out what will work, what is lacking here, and that's how Chai Kings was born. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fascinating. And take us a bit deeper into this, right? Like you said you researched the market, researched the category, understood what they were doing. So what do you think they were doing in those markets? And what did you come back with learnings in terms of what would you do differently in Chennai?
Okay, so back then in 2015-16, Chennai had about 15,000 tea stalls. We did that. We had a team do a market research.
Yeah.
There are about 15,000 tea stalls. All of them are selling at about 8 rupees per cup, and their target was about 1,000 cups a day. That's the target they had. Plus, they would sell about 200 cups of coffee. Then there will be about bhaji bonda types.
This is
So
from per
this
outlet,
is
you're
from
saying?
per tea shop. That is what
Yeah.
that their business model is. So if we had to look at it, if I have to look at it and build a similar model, would I be able to get 1,000 people in?
Right.
Right? Definitely not possible
Right.
initially. Plus, what the plus points are, they're all roadside. People need not even come in and order. They can just stand on the road, order, have the tea, and then just move out in a jiffy. So we can't do that. We have to get people in, and then they'll have to order. They'll get it with a minute or a two delay, and all of that were happening. So we thought 1,000 is not possible. We have to, the number has to be much, much lower. And for that number, for to be sustainable at that number, the price points have to be different. If the price point have to be different, what kind of ambience should you give?
Yeah.
What kind of variety should you give the customer? There is a competitor who says that he can do 80,000 ways of chai, right? With permutation and combination. Do people really need that, right? Do people really need that many options to choose from?
It's a decision
So
paralysis.
all of this went in. So also at the same time, we also have to make it easy for the team in the kitchen, right? You can't make it super difficult for them and then expect to give extraordinary service, right? So we also have to make it very, very simple and at the same time interesting for the customer as well. So all of this went in. So we thought we'll price it at 20, slightly increase the quantity. It is not the quantity that you get in a roadside tea shop. The quantity is slightly more. Obviously, the emphasis is on quality, so quality is always there. Plus the ambience. Should I give a plush AC interior or should I give a table, stool and make them sit and have the tea and move out? So all of this went in, and then we framed a model where it will not bite the pocket for the customer as well as sustainable for us as well. We looked at only about 300 square foot outlet with a 20 rupee
Price
per
point.
cup and very small shorties. That's how we started. But from there on, we learned a lot of things and added few items, increased pricing, increased size, increased, bettered the ambience. All of that happened over a period of time.
Sure. That's great. Sorry, just do a quick check. Audio is fine. Both. Yeah, we'll continue, but. Okay, perfect. All right, great. Yeah. So, I did read that you started with one outlet, I think, in Kilpaw. 300 square feet. And obviously, the initial days must have been challenging, right? And apparently, people didn't even know this was a tea stall, right? Take us back to the first few months, right? What were the things you did to get the first set of customers in? What did you learn from that still holds true from that experience?
Okay. See, once we decided that we will do, we had few things in mind. We always wanted to have 4 outlets or 5 outlets in main parts of the city. So the first few outlets are like on Kilpaw, Khananagar, Mount Road, T Nagar, so all hot spots in Chennai at very good locations. So irrespective of how the brand would take off, we decided that we'll do 4 outlets. Once we did those 4 outlets, we did all this in a matter of about 3 months. October to December, we did all these 4 outlets, and we were waiting. Nothing happened. Nothing happened in the sense, it was very difficult for a customer to identify us as a chai shop, first of all. First, the name. Nobody had Chai Kings or Chai World. Or the Chai word was not, people would call it as Chaya, but then nobody was calling it as chai. Everybody was looking at tea. That confused few people. Second, the ambience of the store. We went with white and green. Okay, you can't find a tea shop in Chennai in those days with a white background.
Yeah.
So people were really confused about what this is about, right? The name is confusing. Plus, the ambience is confusing. If they see from the road, they would see about 2 or 3 uniformed staff standing behind the counter, and there is a small computer for billing and all of that. People are really confused about what it is. It took us months to even register that this is a chai shop. Once people understood that it is a shop, people started coming in. Very few would walk out because of the price. People would definitely try. Meaning 20 is not very exorbitant so that they don't try. People would try. And we also figure out they'll come back because they like the taste, they like the quality, they like the quantity as well. So, but then how do we market this brand, right? Meaning we didn't have that deep pockets to market at all. Plus, you're selling 20 rupees tea, you can't market so much, right?
Yeah.
We had Facebook and Twitter and all of that back then, but then our followers were about in hundreds, which is not helping. We didn't have money to market in Facebook as well. So we had to wait, which is not the right thing to do, but then we had to wait. We waited for word of mouth to spread. It took us almost about 6-9 months to even get a decent revenue from each store. To give you approximate numbers, our stores do somewhere between 10, 12 lakhs a month in terms of revenue. Those days it took us about 6-7 months to reach 1.5 lakhs.
Right.
And 1.5 lakhs is not, we
It's not enough
don't
to run
even
it.
break even on, we don't
Yeah.
even operationally break even on that. We were burning. Okay, we had certain funds to burn for the first 2 years. Those times it was all it was our own money, and me and Balaji had put in about 1.5 crores in the company. We knew that we had to burn initially, but so we waited. What worked in our favor that time was the onset of Swiggy, Zomato, and Uber. When we launched itself, we were ready with that flask. Nobody had that flask in Chennai. It was available up north. We had that flask ready. It's a ready-made cardboard flask where you can use it for parcel tea and all of that. We were ready with that, but there were very less takers for that as well. So meaning each flask could be about 100 rupees. We didn't charge for the flask. The tea is about 5 into 20, $100. But people would like it. They would think that this is a very good idea, but then nobody would buy it. Meaning nobody wanted to buy 5 flasks and take it, 5 teas and take it home. Initially. So that was lying there. We had huge inventory, 50,000 flasks. We had to do all of that was lying there. Once Swiggy, Zomato, and Uber Eats came on board, I think from there on it flew. I mean, the number of we were doing about 20-25 deliveries a day between 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. in the evening, using our own delivery boys, our own delivery bikes.
Right.
But once Swiggy, Zomato, all of them, between those 4:30 and 7:30, we did about 100 deliveries per store. So that we kind of multiplied.
Yeah.
They were able to deliver to about 6 kilometers radius from our shop. So the word of mouth spread, and it is easy for Swiggy and Zomato also to market on Chai Kings. They started running campaigns like get a flask for 50 rupees, right? So they would give 50% discount to the customer. The customer would get it for 50. Swiggy and Zomato will give 100 rupees to us. We were not that big to burn that much, so they'll pay us fully. And Swiggy and Zomato are getting a customer for life for 50 rupees, right? They were acquiring a customer for 50 rupees. They can't do that with a biryani, right? They have to spend about 200, 300 to give a biryani free. So it is easy for them.
So it's a category for helping them scale.
Them as well, and it helped us tremendously. So all of this helped, and then once that happened, we were very confident that the brand has clicked. We were not very sure, right? Because we wanted to know if a single store would sustain, right? Because we always knew that it has to be a combination of online and offline. But what is that right combination, right? What will make us sustain through from a store, right? And break even and generate profits. We were not very clear of that number because we were first in the category. We were pioneers here in Chennai, so we were not very sure. So once this happened and figured out the numbers are making sense, then we thought we should really scale, and then started looking out for funding and approach Chennai Angels.
Nice, fantastic. No, that's amazing. No, great. Now that we have ginger tea in our hands, let's continue. I think one of the things, often we talk about, and I talk to a lot of young founders as well, finding that right co-founder and finding that synergy and splitting the roles is often not as easy as it sounds. I don't know, you've known Balaji for very long. So tell us a bit about the dynamics you both have, and how have you split the roles? What are the ways you made that synergy happen?
Okay. So like I said, Balaji was working in my team. So we had a boss kind of a relationship with him.
Right. Yeah, one of the things, when I meet young founders, we talk about is how do you find the right co-founder, and two is the synergy between founders, right? And I know I've invested in startups where the startup doesn't exist because the founders didn't get along. So it's a big area of opportunity and a challenge. So how do you build that synergy with Balaji? You've known him for many years. I'm not going to ask how you found him. I know how you found him, but how did you guys decide to start? What is the synergy? How do you make sure the synergy continues as you move forward?
Yeah, our friendship started in a different note. We were kind of working in the same company. Balaji was working in my team. So we had a kind of a boss and employee kind of relationship to start off with. This is 2002. By 2008, 10 and all, we've become very good friends. Though we were working in the same team, we've become very good friends. But once you come out and start something, there is no boss and an employee, right? So it's like we both are equals. I was very apprehensive about that because either it should not work. It should not go both ways as well, right? It cannot be. Balaji cannot continue to be like working for a boss. At the same time,
Yeah.
he cannot go overboard as well. We have to match it right.
Should be able to challenge you as well. And
I was very skeptical about how this will go, but then once we started working, we figured out we can always work together. Okay, that was the initial impression I got. That is why we moved forward with multiple things.
right.
And in terms of our personality and our working styles and all that, we are completely different. We are opposites. We're not even different. We are opposites.
Yeah.
What I like, Balaji will never like.
You
So
said
that's
you
the-
wake up late. He wakes up really
yeah.
early.
So that's the kind of situation we were in. But once we started working, see, we started in 2012 as partners, right? So we always had, it's either 50-50 or 0-0, right? So we never had 51-49, those kind of, we always had, both of us had to weigh in on any decision that has to happen. So things like that. We had certain ground rules to start off with, and we still abide by that. So once we started, once this Chai King and all of that came across, we figured out there is no ego in us, right? So that's the first thing that we figured. I mean, it is not like we speak to each other and say there should not be any ego between us. But then, as we grew, as time went by, we figured out there is no question of ego. We always address the issue
Right.
rather than the disagreement. We've always had multiple disagreements in the last
Yeah.
12-15 years. But then we address the issue, not let our ego or our passion come in between and address the issue and sort it out. So that way we were able to move forward, keep any differences aside and work for the betterment of the company. Yeah.
And how have you split the roles between both of
So
you?
Balaji manages complete operations. It's like everything related to operation is Balaji and everything else is under me. But then there is overlap here and there.
Always, yeah.
There is HR. There's a little bit of overlap there. I manage the HR function, but then there is overlap with Balaji as well because there are certain decisions that comes from Balaji. Marketing, that again there is a overlap. Finance is fully under me. I take care of finance and growth and all of that. So here and there is overlap. In terms of new business development, we take a joint call. So we have a ground rule that even if one of us doesn't like the property, we will not go forward, irrespective
Right.
of the reason or whatever reason that is. So yeah, so that's how it is. So fully operations, everything is Balaji and everything else is myself.
Very nice. No, me and my co-founder Sunil, we also have clear lines, but many ways it's blurry
Yeah,
lines.
it's always
right?
blurry,
Always
but yeah,
blurry.
yeah.
So that's great. One of the things I know you've said it very publicly is that you don't believe in the franchisee model, and you were a franchisee yourself for Green Trends and Subway and others. And what were the learnings there, right? And why do you still run on a company-owned, company-operated model? And is that what you're going to be doing in the future as well?
Yeah, see, two things. One, we figured out for food, especially, the franchisee concept doesn't work at all. See,
Right.
it's basically the franchisees come with a different mindset. The business owners have a different mindset. I've been a franchisee myself. My mindset when I was a franchisee and my mindset now as a brand owner are completely different. Right. My priorities are different. Right. So you cannot expect the same from a franchisee owner. So that is why we always thought for food it will not work because there is a lot of opportunities to goof up in terms of quality when it comes to food. So, and when there are so many opportunities, it always tends to go wrong when things are not working for you. For me, if an outlet is not working,
Yeah.
or if there is struggle with an outlet, I will wait. Right, I will wait to make things right. You can't expect that from all the franchisees, irrespective of the number of rules or SOPs that you have. And there is no single successful franchisee in food in the entire world. Subway was one, but they've also dismantled and moving towards company-operated model. So, if you have to have complete control over quality in a food environment, it has to be a company-operated store. Franchisee-operated businesses will work like for a salon or for any back office operations where there is little opportunity to mess up on the quality, you can definitely do that.
Yeah, even McDonald's I think has master franchises,
Master
right?
franchises. So
Not individual
yeah.
franchises.
So plus the investment on a small outlet, for example, if you have to do a Chai King's outlet now, it will not cost you beyond 25-30 lakh. If 4 friends come together, they do a business loan, personal loan, 5 lakhs each. Their interest or their commitment can easily go down if things are not working for them. So 3 months, 4 months down the line, they'll be ready to write off those 5 lakhs and move out. Yeah, so in that scenario, the brand will suffer instead of the franchise. So we don't want to go that route at all. Plus, we are also very confident that we are better operators than anybody here. Meaning we've been here, right? We've done 12, 10 years of this. We clearly understand what works, what doesn't work. So yeah.
COVID was a tough time for this category, and of course post that then Swiggy Zomato, maybe it was like a curve of hyper growth. Can you take us through that period?
COVID was very uncertain, meaning it's very bad, but then at the same time it was very uncertain. Right from March 2020 till about I think April 2022, almost 2 years, things were up and down. We were not able to settle down at all, meaning we were once the first wave, second and the third wave was very lenient comparatively, but then
we learned to live with it.
Yeah, we understood that it will not go away. So, but then it was very uncertain. There were lots of ups and downs. We were not able to figure out what to do, right? So, so once the first wave hit, obviously a lot of employees went back home. Luckily, we didn't have to send them off. They themselves went off to their hometowns. All of them, we have 50% from Northeast and 50% from local staff. So all of them went back home. Only few people stayed, which was sufficient for us to run the stores.
Right.
And then the government also had rules like one day they'll allow delivery to happen. The next day they will not allow deliveries to happen. Sometimes they'll allow us to open between 4 to 7 in the evening. Sometimes they'll categorize us as a tea shop and let us not open. Sometimes they'll allow us because we have restaurant license. So it was completely chaotic. But within about first 3.5, 4 months, we figured out how to go about. So we kind of cut down on the manpower that we needed. So we had the right number of people. And then we also figured out only these number of hours we can open the store and service. So we had to go back to the landlord, renegotiate the rentals for a few months, and then all of that happened. We were able to kind of run through that period, but again we burnt badly in that period. Luckily, we had raised around just before. Just when COVID was happening, we were raising around. Okay, we were in discussions already, so that helped. And Chennai Angels and Hyderabad Angels, they were already investors, so they also came forward and helped us during that time. They invested about 1.5 crores during that time. Predominantly, most of the money that was raised was used to spend during that COVID time and keep the company alive. So, yeah, we were not very. It wasn't very scary, but then very uncertain. People would you get into a Zoom call, or there was a Clubhouse app where there will be retail meetings happening. People would be like, they'll predict like retail is gone, right? That's how the predictions were. But we were not. Whenever we opened stores, whenever the government allowed to open, irrespective of the COVID happening, people would throng the physical store and have tea, and some people would dare to ask for tea in a glass cup. So that all that gave us confidence that this will stay. Once things go back to normal, we always thought people will come back to the stores and things will come back to normal. We were overly optimistic without any clue, but then that worked in our favor as well, so that we stayed alive during that time. But once it also helped us. Prior to COVID, we were not a profitable company at all. We were burning money. The priorities were different. To be frank, we were looking at top line. We were not looking at bottom line. We were looking at growing the company, getting more brand recalls and all of that. But during the COVID period, we cut down on all of that, worked on unit economics, what can work for us. We cross-skilled a lot of staff. We had different staff for different roles. We kind of combined them. All of that helped us. Once things got back to normal, we were able to post healthy profits based on that. COVID was kind of blessing in a disguise. But then, yeah, initially it was very scary.
Yeah, I think similar for many businesses, including
True,
ours.
yeah.
Yeah. One thing I've spoken to some of the investors at Chennai Angels who've invested, and I think they're very happy and with the investment. But I think one of the things I always wanted to understand was the unit economics behind this, right? Because you're selling something for 30 rupees, and like you said, there's packaging, there's manpower, there's quality control, there's so much happening, but you're still making it profitable, right? And take us through, where did you start on your unit economics? Where are you today, and how do you scale from here?
So, okay, there are major 4-5 components to the entire thing. The major part is the food cost. We call it food cost.
Right.
Some people call it COGS, cost of goods sold. So it basically constitutes the entire raw material, and then your packaging, your cleaning, all of that. Anything that you consume in a store.
Right.
Okay. So we were at about 48% initially. We were selling at about 25 rupees a cup. The pricing, online pricing was slightly lower. There are multiple things, but then we were at about 48% food cost. So once 50% of the amount is gone, you only have 50% to play around with. You have to pay your rentals and electricity. That's one major component. And then the employee expenses, that's another component. And then there is employee online commissions.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Platform
these
commissions.
three are at about 15% approximately. So the rentals and the electricity, all of that is about 15% of the overall revenue. And then the employee expenses are about 15%. Your salary, your incentives, we give staff rooms to employees. So their staff rooms, their staff room rent, staff room electricity, all of that put together is about another 15%. And then the online commission is approximately about 15.5%. It's actually more. It's about somewhere around 29-30%. 50% of our revenue comes from online. So
it's half.
it is half of that. So 45% is gone here.
Right.
And another 48 is gone there. There's another 5% miscellaneous expenses, licenses, and all of that is there. So that's where we were burning cash. So during this COVID period, we figured out what could be our right COGS, right? There is no benchmark right now. Our competitors, Chai Point, Chayos, and all of them, they're all at a slightly different price point.
Right.
They are at about $100 a cup. Their capex is different, their store size is different. Obviously, their cup size is also different, and the pricing is different.
Yeah.
I'm not able to compare it with them, but we knew that 48 is very high. We always had to bring it down, but how do we bring it down? So we broke that down to figure out where is the leakage, right? So we did multiple things. One is to go back to all the vendors, renegotiated the price, and then we obviously hiked up the price a bit. And then online pricing, we made online pricing different. There is a huge difference in terms of pricing, but there are also a lot of offers and discounts. So online is kind of taken care for that matter. And then the leakage in the system, okay, that is huge. Okay,
Pilferage and
pilferage is huge. Plus, there are a lot of moving parts in terms of stocks, right? We have a warehouse in all the cities. In Chennai, we have a big warehouse. From there, we send materials to all the outlets. So all of these are consumables like sugar, milk. You wouldn't know if it gets wasted or taken to the staff room or stuff like that. So we had to bring in tighter controls there. That saved us a solid about 7-8% in terms of and then pilferage is a continuous process. You bring in a new system, people will always try to find a way to beat that system. But then it's an ongoing process, and we kind of keep it at 2.5%. Yeah. So right now our COGS is at about 33%, and these are about at 45-50. So 83-85 is our overall expenses, and 15% is our contribution from each store. This 15% can go up to about 22% easily, and that is what we are working on currently.
Yeah. No, fascinating. I think being able to sell something at that price point and make money is a operational challenge.
Yeah, since the price point is lower, the transactions are more. So the room for error is very less. If the transaction value is about 300, 400, the number of transactions would be less, and it's easier for you to control, right? But since here the value is low, there are more transactions, and there is opportunity for a leak is more. I mean, instead of 100 ml, if you give 105 ml every cup, you're gone.
You're
So
losing 5% in every cup.
5% everywhere. So you have to figure out. There are multiple levers which will help
Yeah.
you figure out where you are leaking. But then first you have to understand the metric to see where it is leaking and plug it.
So what are the kind of controls you've done both on the quality end as well as, like you said, on controlling the input cost and the inputs, right? Like how have you managed to do that?
Okay. Um, See, with I think 2020 when we raised our second round, we had to go in for a much much robust system for purchase and all of that. So we had our own POS from day one. We had developed our own POS because when we launched in 2016, there are not many QSRs around. So all the restaurant POS softwares were um, designed for a restaurant. So it will be like which we'll have to select the area first. Is it the first floor, ground floor, or the garden area? And then you'll have to select the table, and then you'll have to select the product and bill it. For us, it didn't work. I wanted the least amount of time to be spent on the software. Right?
Least
Because
friction, yeah.
we calculated by how many clicks before you bill it. Right? We wanted to be in a single screen, products on the left, pricing on the right. You just click it and then you punch it. So that's how I wanted it to be done. So we went ahead and developed our own POS. Very small, simple POS system. We developed software. We were running it, but it didn't have robust inventory management in it. We had Tally for finances, but then again, Tally cannot manage your inventory. So we took a bold decision. We went for SAP. It's a huge investment for us, but then we went for it 2020. It almost took us about 1.5 years for us to even implement it properly, because we didn't have a dedicated IT team to even get that done. But we had our contractors who helped us with the installation and all of that. So by around during this COVID period, there was one other exercise which was happening. 2022 April, we were fully on SAP. That gives us complete control over every material that comes in. So right from the negotiation stage with the vendor, right from the minute you send the PO, from there till the item that goes out of the system, it is being tracked there. So you can easily track it, where the item is, how many outlets, which outlets carry what stock, how much stock they carry. At any point of time, you can just take a printout and see who has how many stock, right?
And do an actual check.
Actual check, yeah. You don't even have to do a manual check on what is there. So it's a daily process. Automatically detects when you bill a chai, it automatically detects the number of amount of sugar, amount of tea powder, amount of milk, and all of that. It gives you end of the day how much you should have. So they tally it at the end of the day and see if it really has it. If they don't have it, they'll figure out why they don't have it, and then they mention why they don't have it. So it helps us control the leak and also figure out where it is. Yeah, it also helps us replenish the materials faster. You wouldn't know, meaning with 80 outlets around the city, if a certain outlet is running out of material, sometimes with oversight you might lose it. So this system helps us. It throws alerts that this outlet is not having this, and we immediately send out the material. So
yeah, no, that's fascinating. I think so. The combination of technology and sort of having the right insights to go deeper. Yeah, no, very useful. In terms of the product mix, right? I know almost half of the revenue now comes from food, if I'm not wrong.
Almost 40%. Yeah,
40%. Yeah. So take us through how have you expanded the menu from when you started to now, and where do you see that going? I think you have about 200 odd items now. So where do you see it going?
So yeah, we go by SKUs, and we had about 125 SKUs when we started, and now it's about 210. One thing we didn't want to do is like complicate it for the kitchen staff, right? I mean, we have to keep it very minimal, so that the minute you add the number of raw materials in the kitty, I think it is bound to get wasted. It is bound to increase your wastage and all of that. So we've always wanted to keep it minimal, but we also figured out with the size that we were, from 300. More people came in, so 300 became 500 square foot, 500 became, now the sweet spot is about 700, 800 square foot. So once you've done a 700, 800 square foot outlet, we also have to fill it up with people. Once people come in, they also want to have something to eat along with the chai. They want to sit and have the tea. if they only have their tea sitting down for about 15-20 minutes, it's not working out for me. So I have to give them something to eat as well.
Yeah.
So that has to go with chai as well, and at the same time, it should not bite their pocket. So there is a lot of things that have to be done. So we gradually we've increased a lot of food items in the menu. Initially, we went with snack items like samosas, puffs, and all of that. But now we've added sandwiches, momos. Momos are a super duper hit in our outlets right now.
Nice. I've had the Maggie in the night.
Yeah.
It's always there.
So Maggie, there are multiple varieties of
Yeah.
Maggie, and then momos, and then the sandwiches, breads, buns, different varieties of buns, different varieties of breads. All of that is there. There are a few more items that has to be rolled out as well.
Yeah.
We'll have to figure out how we can launch without at a very right price point, at the same time profitable for us as well, at the
Yeah.
right quality. Yeah, there's a lot of work there. Yeah.
Yeah. Now fascinating. Take us through the Chennai and expansion from Chennai out, but also from the perspective that you've looked at this category differently than competitors, right? And the competitors have raised more funds. They have different formats, like you said, different price points, different unit economics than Chai King. So how do you look at that? And I know you're looking at expanding out of Chennai as well. So take us through that competitive landscape and the journey outside Chennai.
Okay, in terms of the format, I think even our competitors started in the same format where they wanted to give same 100 ml chai at a very decent price point. I think everybody started there,
Yeah.
but somewhere down the line they figured out. I think they figured out that the Starbucks model is better. Maybe they drifted towards that.
With the longer stay also, right? They don't stay for 10 minutes, they stay longer.
Yeah, they give plush ambience. People
Yeah.
stay for a longer period, and the chai is also at a slightly higher price
yeah.
point. We once we started, we were also very not sure where this is going to go, because we were also figuring out as days goes by, right? We were figuring out what will make sense. But during this COVID period, we figured out this unit economics can work, right? Once we figured that out, we always thought this model is better than the Starbucks model, because this is what people need, right? Meaning if a chai lover wants to have tea twice a day or thrice a day,
Yeah.
100 rupee price point doesn't make sense at all, right? Meaning they wouldn't go and have tea for 300 rupees a day. That doesn't work. So we always thought this is the go-to model for any chai lover. If you want to have a mass attraction, this is what will work.
And it's an everyday thing. It's
Yeah,
not
it's an
an
everyday thing.
indulgence.
It's not like once in a week. It's an everyday thing. So people
Yeah.
have to stick to we wanted to stick to this format so that we attract more number of people here, and we thought this will stay. Only because we cracked the model. If we were not able to crack the model and make it profitable, we might have also drifted down that road and figured out if that would work. I'm sure it is working for them as well. But then the problem with that model is that's only a 10 city story or a 12 city story across India. I mean, you can't go beyond a metro. Certain tier 2s are not beyond that, right? But this model can take you across India, tier 2, tier 3, anywhere it will work. That is why we want to stick to this model and see how we can explore across India. Right now we are predominantly in Chennai. We have about 64 outlets in Chennai. We have about 6 in Coimbatore and 8 in Hyderabad. Very early days for us in Hyderabad. We went during COVID, but then we did not expand at all. Only now we are starting expansion in Hyderabad. We'll do about another 10, 12 outlets in Hyderabad, and also we do about 15. Plan is to do about 15 outlets in Bangalore by July of this year. We're going to Bangalore by July. So all of these cities are still very similar to Chennai in terms of the taste palette. We've had the outlets in Hyderabad. It is working well for us at this point. The difference could be the food that we sell along with chai.
Right.
Okay, that is completely different for Hyderabad. We are also seeing that it is different for Bangalore as well. It's the same samosas and puffs, but then it is slightly different to what sells here. It's a different making. We have to find the right vendor for all of that. But yeah, it's gonna be a similar cut, copy, paste in Chennai, in Coimbatore and Hyderabad and Bangalore as well.
Got it. And you've raised multiple rounds as well now. And take us through how have those rounds helped in your growth journey? Maybe starting with the one that you did with Chennai Angels and Hyderabad Angels.
Okay, the first round happened during June 2018.
Right.
I think that was the time nobody was very sure of how things will go.
Yeah.
We were just getting the confidence because of the word of mouth that we get and the online search that we saw. Chennai Angels being in Chennai, they also saw the brand. They are also seeing that many other brands were coming up in Chennai in a similar thing, and they also know about Chai Point and Chayos, who have raised huge amounts of money in the past. So they were like betting on us, ready to bet on us. It was a very modest investment of about 2 crores initially. They came on board. I think once they came on board and saw us working for about a year, the pace at which we opened outlets, the progress and all of that, they also became confident and wanted to come in for a second round. The second round happened after a year. That was $1 million. Chennai Angels used to tell us that this is one of the largest investment in a company.
Yes.
That happened, and that the plan with that 7 crore was to take brand to a couple of more cities. So we wanted to go to Coimbatore and Hyderabad. We want to try out how it will work in different cities once and set it up so that we can raise another VC round and scale up. But to our luck, COVID struck in between. We were at about 40 outlets and COVID struck, and we kind of stopped plans of expansion and tried to consolidate and move on. So once that is done, from there on, from 2020 till 2025, nothing happened for the company in terms of funding. We were frantically trying to raise funds because we were not growing. Meaning we were growing in Chennai in terms of popularity, in terms of brand share and all of that. But beyond Chennai, we were not able to grow. Even in Chennai, we were not able to take up a lot of other opportunities that we could have done if we had money.
Right.
So we, plus at the same time, the market has also lost interest in the tea sector because coffee was booming, third wave coffee, blue taka, everybody was raising money. So the focus shifted from chai to coffee. So we were struggling. Plus, Chai Point and Chayos struggling to become profitable kind of put a bad impression on the entire category. So we were also trying in between. So what we did, we went ahead and tried if we can move to find a strategic investor who can invest and kind of not take over the company at a later point of time. But none of that worked in the meantime. By 2024, ABT came across Chai King. They met us. They figured out what we are doing, and all of that, and then kind of invested about 3 million last April.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
To get a legacy brand that's been around for 9 decades to invest in a
so they being in tea themselves for about 100 years now.
Yeah.
To have confidence in a brand like us and invest is a good thing.
Yeah. This is the good part, right? What are there investors who said no to you? Take us through maybe one of those journeys, right? Like what?
Okay, so
I'm sure there are many.
Between 2000, no, I have a count.
How many is that?
Between 2020 and 24, I had spoken to about 83 venture capitalists so far. I have a tracker. I have a tracker of because I need to track on what I send them, and then when I should go back and nudge them again, all of that. So I maintain the tracker to see where it is. Predominantly, the theme of the entire 83 conversation was that people like what we have done here, right? They like the brand. People have come to Chennai, or people have team members from Chennai in their team. All of these VCs are in Bangalore, Bombay, Delhi, right? So whoever had team members, whoever had come to Chennai, they had very good things to tell about us because they've seen how we have done here. But they were also very apprehensive because we've not done anything beyond Chennai. So that was one point. So there is no
concentration risk is big
so they were not able to come to a conviction that you have done well in Chennai. How can you do well? How will you do well in Bangalore? Tell me that. How can I tell you that? I'll have to show you that, right? So that was one point that was coming across. Second thing was they were also many people are not very sure of if this model would succeed outside because Chai Point and Chayos being starting here but then drifting to 100 rupee per cup, would I also do that? If I do that, what will happen to the unit economics? Will I be able to sustain all of that? So these
And
were
then
the
you're
two.
competing their universe.
Then
in many
yeah,
ways.
if I then I it is very difficult to go
Yeah.
and compete with them because they have huge support in terms of funds and all of that. So the
Raise
funding,
much more.
raise much more than what we have. So it will not be able to fight them in their own backyard. So these were the two common themes that were
Correct.
coming up, but people are very not supportive. People are very appreciative of what we have done. So that also gave us confidence that we will also find the right investor. You see, it is also about finding the right investor who will believe in the same vision.
Yeah.
Right now, people, they like it. A lot of people wanted us to go the D2C route. A lot of people wanted to try the machine route. All of that we kept aside. We just thought if we can push for some more time in the same model and make it more profitable. By the course of this entire period, we were also becoming better in terms of numbers. So that also gave us confidence that once we will reach a certain number, we should also be able to attract the right investors. So that kept us going, and we found AVT. Yeah.
Yeah. No, fantastic, and
Yeah.
congrats on
Thank you.
on the partnership with AVT. I'm sure it's an important milestone for
True.
Chai Kings. The food business is brutal, right? I have a friend who also runs a cafe. The food business is brutal. What is that one thing you think you've done from an operational excellence standpoint that has really helped you be there, right? And surviving for 14 years and scaling and continuing, right? So what is it that's keeping that in? What is operationally something that you still track on a daily basis?
No, it is difficult to pinpoint one single thing that we do. See, okay. I think you need to be completely true to the process, right?
Yeah.
We've set up a process, right? Irrespective of what we wanted to give, we've set up a process to deliver a certain quality at a certain price point with a certain ingredient, right? And we don't compromise on that. Once you don't compromise on the basic things that we need to deliver, I think it is easier to track it down from there. Once you compromise on and off,
Yeah.
it is very difficult to track and keep things on track. So I think being true to the process, stick to it from day one. The ginger tea SOP that we've set before opening Chai King, we have not changed it till now.
Nice.
Okay, we could have easily changed 5 grams of sugar per liter. We could have easily reduced 5 grams of tea powder per liter. That's a huge saving for me. We've never done that. So once you don't do that, once you don't do that, don't take those kind of shortcuts, I think it is easy to track what is happening and keep everybody on track so that there is no diversion here and there. I think that is what is keeping us on track and staying true.
And I think staying true is definitely the heart of it. But you also use technology the right way to track some of that.
Correct. Yeah. So there are multiple tools available right now. It is making. We've not gone the AI way yet, but then there are a lot of vendors approaching us to tell us how we can even better it.
Yeah.
We're obviously analyzing and going through all of that. So things are getting better day by day, but we already have a very robust process, time-consuming process, but then it is a very robust technology process which tracks every item from the inception till it goes to the customer.
Yeah. Would it maybe reflect back on your journey, Sadique, and tell us a bit about what is that one thing you would have done differently? I'm sure there are many, but if you were to pick one that you could do differently, something that you would have approached a little different than what you actually did.
Yeah, it's a very difficult question to answer, but then I think I would have come to business a little early.
Right.
I was
quit your job earlier.
Yeah, I think we came in when we were about 34, 35.
Yeah.
We should have come in a lot early. We contemplated starting Chai Kings for a year. Exactly for a year, we were thinking if we should do it, if we should not do it. I would have cut short that time. But I think apart from that, there's not many. But off late, though we obviously everybody has to believe in the process. But off late, we've got solid conviction that only process will help you come over an issue. We've had multiple, so for example, we have outlets open till 24/7. Many outlets, majority about 35 outlets in Chennai are open 24/7. Right after the government allowed opening stores in the night, we started opening. But then we were always questioned by the cops. The cops would always stop it when we were try to open all of that. We found it very difficult to handle them, irrespective of having all the licenses, having all the, going by all the rules and procedures. They would always stop you. They would harass you. They'll ask us to shut down in the middle of. There are about 10-15 customers in the shop. They'll ask us to shut down. All of that would happen. So we figured out what we could do. We found a way that we could actually put up take them to the court and then fight them on this. So, but it took a lot of time. It almost took about 9 months for us to, from the start of the legal process to getting the court order. We stuck to that. We got the court order, and now none of the police would come and harass us, right? Meaning instead of having all of that and telling them we have everything, you go through the process, you get a writ, you get your petition done, and you get your court order in your name. It is very difficult for anybody to come and stop you. So I think anything, wherever it is, so wherever there is a hiccup, wherever there is a blockage, we figure out what should be done. I mean, instead of trying to solve it right then and there, that is what we were always trying to quick fix it whenever there is an issue.
Put a band-aid,
put a band-aid, run through the day, firefight it. Okay, we figured out off late that will happen, but simultaneously we should also figure out a simultaneous fix, long-term fix, and fix it for all. So I think that is reflecting in a lot of our other departments as well in trying to fix out. The continuous process will go on, bandage process will go on, but then we will find a permanent fix and fix it for life.
No, amazing. Yeah. I understand Dhoni loves the ginger tea as well. Take us through that journey of figuring that out, and I believe he's here right now as well. So
okay, so I met Dhoni almost about 3 years back when I was meeting his manager. Dhoni was in a shoot. I asked him to introduce him to me. He said okay, and then he introduced me, and then I asked him, nice to meet you, same thing, and then he said, I love your ginger chai. I said like, okay, thank you. He's like, his manager said, okay, they run this store, they can give it to you whenever you want. For that, Dhoni said, no, I order online. The minute I wake up, I order, and then I go to the restroom and I freshen up and come. My tea is ready, and it is always consistent. He spoke to me for a good 2 minutes, telling me about how good and consistent the tea is. So since then, we track his order. How if he's in Chennai, he always orders. He stays at Leela, so he orders, and then we make sure that he goes by a name. He goes by a different name on Zomato. So we track that order. We ensure that it is always prepared and readily delivered, and it goes on time to him. So,
no, amazing. Glad to hear
it's an IPL thing for us. Whenever there is IPL in town, this is one activity that happens in office.
Awesome. That's great. Great. We'll do a quick fire round, Sadique. Rapid fire round. One metric you check every single day.
Okay. Revenue. Because I think...
revenue per outlet?
No, not revenue per outlet. The overall revenue. That's the first thing that I check. But then that gives me an insight on what has happened the previous day. So Monday is different. Tuesday is different. The revenues are different. So if it is in line, okay, my day is done. I don't have to dig deeper. If there is... any anomaly, if there is a difference, and then I dig down deeper and see what has happened, why it has happened, all of that. Yeah. Again, that one number is a very good indicator of how things are.
Ginger chai or masala chai?
Ginger.
That's the one.
Not only for me, for I think across the nation, ginger chai is the best seller.
Yeah. Adraki chai, yes. Most underrated quality in a store manager?
People management. In the hustle of the daily operations, people tend to forget how good a manager in terms of employee management. I think that's one quality is very difficult to teach.
Yeah.
it's an inborn thing. Plus, it's a culture thing as well. We try to do that from our end, but at the same time, that's the most important metric in a store manager.
No, fantastic. A competitor strength you genuinely sort of respect.
Competitor strength. Okay. I like. I'll take the name. I'll take Chai Point's design. I love their
Nice.
designs. I think they're also very bold in terms of experimenting with products,
Flavors, yeah.
designs, and formats. Many things. Yeah.
Yeah. No, fantastic. Best business advice you've ever received.
To be financially disciplined, um, and along with having the right team size. I think it is easy to say that you should have the right team, but again, you should have the right team at the right team. No point having a bigger team and you don't need it, and at the same time, no use running with a smaller team and you really need a good team. Yeah, we've always built our team in accordance to our size and the requirement that we have. Yeah,
Yeah.
those
Frugality.
two things. Yeah,
Frugality is how.
exactly. Yeah.
Chai Kings in 2030, in one sentence.
Oh, so we should at least be in another 5-6 cities. We'll definitely be about 300 plus in terms of store, but at the same time, we also want to be very financially strong. We are a bit of positive. We want to be PAT positive as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Coco franchisee, still Coco? Or?
Absolutely, Coco any day for a food business.
Got it. One thing you'll tell a 25-year-old today who wants to start a tea shop.
Don't start a tea shop because it is easy. I think, see, people think it is the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
Definitely it's the easiest thing to do, but there are a lot of it's much more complex than
Yeah.
what you see with your plain eyes. It is not, the efforts are going to be the same, whether you run a tea shop or a 50-seater restaurant or even a 50-seater IT company. The efforts are going to be the same. So you choose your right battle. If you're planning to start only one tea shop, I will say don't do it. Meaning, obviously, it's not worth your energy and effort. Yeah.
Awesome. On the branding and marketing side, Sadique, I know you did mention that word of mouth has been your pillar of strength, but what is your view on brand Chai Kings and what will you be doing to scale that brand?
Okay. See, without much effort, I think we built a brand in Chennai, which I think we stand for quality, and there is also an underlying quality for the brand, that is consistency, right? That is easy to replicate across cities. You just have to keep your basics right and do it. But if you want to have a faster growth, if you want to scale faster, I think your branding has to come in. We don't have the firepower for branding till now, but then
Yeah.
we have plans to bolster that as well in terms of trying to bring in an ambassador, cost-effective ambassador for that can work well for us. Yeah, it will definitely help. We don't need it in Chennai, but we have plans to do better on branding and marketing when we are expanding in Hyderabad and Bangalore.
Yeah, makes sense. This is my last question, Sadique, right? So you've scaled the business, you've raised funds from angels, from AVT, you're at 78 stores. What do the next 12 to 24 months look like? What is your focus across, and what's the journey for the next 12 to 24 months?
I think the next 12 months is going to be pure expansion. We have to add about another 35 stores to complete the funds that the plan that we given to AVT. So that will take us about for 12 months. We also have to start our next fundraising journey somewhere in the July, August, September quarter of this year, so that we have about 6 months time to raise funds and start expansion from there on. So it's going to be busy. It's very busy already. It's going to be busy as well. Yeah. Thanks.
No, it's been amazing seeing the journey up front, and I've heard a lot of amazing stories from Chennai Angels folks who invested, and I think the entire team here loves the ginger chai, and I love the Maggie as well. And it's been amazing to see the journey. And thanks for taking on the time, Sadique, and thanks for being with us
My
today.
pleasure. My lovely time here. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Sadique.